this service this morning. When you start looking at the catalog of music, there's not a lot of great Father's Day songs written by Christian artists and performed by Christian artists. There just aren't many. We're going to start with one that's the exception to that rule by a group called Thor Hymn. It talks about what a real man is, and that's what fathers ought to be. But bear with us a little bit, because we're going to play some secular music today that has a lot to do with Father's Day and has a lot to do with what I'm going to share with you in our service this morning. And quite frankly, when I do this kind of stuff, it takes me back. I was chatting with the teenagers this morning after spending 4 days with our kids earlier this week. They help me stay young, and this music helps me stay young. So when I start playing stuff from the 70s and 80s, it takes me back to a yesteryear when I sat at a keyboard or behind a guitar and a drum set and played in a whole lot of different kind of places. And so we're just glad you're here this morning. And so let's begin our tribute to fathers with a great song. And this song really does describe what God expects a man to be. It's called The Measure of a Man. This world can analyze and size you up and throw you on the scales. They can argue you and run you through their vigorous details. They can do their best to range you and they'll place you on the charts, then back it up with scientific smarts. But there's so much more than what your word, that they're human, I can see. Oh, I say the measure of a man is not how tall you stand, how wealthy or intelligent you are. I found the measure of a man, God knows and understands. He looks inside to the bottom of your heart, and it's what's in the heart that defines the measure of a man. Well, you can doubt your worth and search for who you are and where you stand. God made you in His image when He formed you with His hands, and He looks at you with mercy and He sees you through His love. You're His child, and that will always be enough. There's more to what you're worth than you could ever comprehend. Oh, I say the measure of a man is not how tall you stand, how wealthy or intelligent you are. I found the measure of a man, God knows and understands. He looks inside to the bottom of your heart, and what's in the heart defines the measure of a man. You can spend your life pursuing physical perfection. There is so much more than meets the eye. For God looks through the surface and He finds your worth by what's on the inside. Oh, I say the measure of a man is not how tall you stand, how wealthy or intelligent you are. I found the measure of a man, God knows and understands. For He looks inside to the bottom of your heart, and what's in the heart defines. Oh, I say the measure of a man is not how tall you stand, how wealthy or intelligent you are. I found the measure of a man, God knows and understands. He looks inside to the bottom of your heart, and what's in the heart defines the measure of a man. And what's in the heart defines, yeah, what's in the heart defines, what's in the heart defines the measure of a man. Y'all know this song, Frank Sinatra, My Way. Regrets, I've had a few. But then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do. I saw it through without exception. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and much more than this, I did it my way. Now, you know what the problem with that is? It was my way, not God's way. See, that's where we get in trouble. When we start doing things our way, we get in trouble. But he begins that song with regrets. You know what? I don't want to come to the end of my life and regret anything. Listen to these quotes. I'd rather regret the things I've done than regret the things I haven't done. Regret for the things we did can be tempered by time. It is regret for the things that we did not do that is inconsolable. You know what? I've never heard anybody come to their deathbed, and I've stood by the deathbed of many, many people in the last 50 years. I've never stood at the deathbed of anybody and had them say, you know, I wish I'd have worked harder. I wish I'd have worked more. I wish I'd have spent more hours in that factory. No, they say, I wish I'd have spent more time with my kids. I wish I would have done more things. I wish I would have taken them to church more. Those are the regrets that we get. We're going to sing 2 songs this morning you will recognize instantly. But you know what? They really have a lot to say to us about this thing called regrets. Gotta get in the right key. Don't go to your grave being the guys in these 2 songs, because you will regret it. The child arrived just the other day, came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and there were bills to pay. Learned to walk while I was away, and he was talking for I knew it, and as he grew, said, I'm gonna be like you, Dad, you know I'm gonna be like you. And the cats in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy put up the man in the moon. When he coming home, Dad, I don't know when. We'll get together then, son, we'll have a good time then. My son turned in just the other day, he said, thanks for the ball, Dad, come on, let's play. Can you teach me to throw? I said, not today, got a lot to do. He said, that's okay. And he walked away, but his smile never did. He said, I'm gonna be like him. Oh, I'm gonna be like him. And the cats in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy picking the man in the moon. When you coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, so we'll have a good time then. Well, he came from college just the other day, so much like a man, I just had to say, son, I'm proud of you, can you sit for a while? Shook his head and he said with a smile, what I'd really like, Dad, is to borrow the car keys. See you later, can I have them, please? And the cats in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy put up the man in the moon. When you coming home, Dad, don't know when, but we'll get together then, and we'll have a good time then. I'm long since retired and my son's moved away. Called him up just the other day. He said, I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I could find the time. See, the new job's a hassle and the kid with the flu, but it's sure nice talking to you, Dad. It's been sure nice talking to you. As I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. And the cats in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy picking the man in the moon. When you coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then. Talked to a young man yesterday at a motorcycle event I went to. He was telling me he just adopted a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Said had a great job, making $90,000 a year. But I was working 90 hours a week. He said, now I'm making $20 an hour, but I'm home with my kids. that song was about that we just sang. We talked about it a lot in our sermon this morning. This is another song that I hope I make it through this. Every time this song comes on the radio, I cry. And if I do, we'll fix it. Every generation